On the night of September 9th, 2009 in Novosibirsk, Russia, a woman was coming home from work. The woman called the elevator, entered the open doors and heard something ringing under her feet. She stepped on a newspaper, under which was lying a set of keys. The woman picked them up and the next day gave an announcement of the find. But soon she learns that these keys are all that remains of her neighbor, Irina Safonova, who mysteriously disappeared last night in that very elevator. A 28-year-old woman, Irina Safonova, was renting a two-room apartment in one of the most prestigious neighborhoods of Novosibirsk, Akademgorodok. At the time the events took place, the woman was living with her 10-year-old son Andrew and her younger brother Ilya. The brother was a student and Irina worked as a child psychologist at the Civic Center. With her husband Vladimir, Irina had already lived separately for several years, but was in no rush to divorce and even maintained a good relationship with him. In 2004, Vladimir went to Moscow to build a career, and after a while met another woman who gave birth to his second son. Irina also did not waste time and got close with her childhood friend, a 27-year-old photographer, Alexander Skurikin. According to the couple's acquaintances, Alexander had long been in love with his girlfriend and waited for Irina to finally divorce her husband. However, Irina and Vladimir not only communicated with each other because of the child, but also went on vacation together. In 2008, on her social media, the psychologist even shared her plans for a second proper wedding with her current husband. The evening before her disappearance, Irina spent time with Alexander. The man invited her to the cinema to see *Inglourious Bastards* by Tarantino. The movie started at 8:50 and ended at about 11 o'clock. Around 11:55, the couple arrived at the woman's house. They were sitting in the car for a while. Then Irina took the keys and the phone out of her bag and at 12:02 said goodbye to her boyfriend. At 12:15, Alexander sent a text message to his beloved one, but got no response. Back then, Skurikin didn't pay much attention to that because he thought that Irina just went to bed. At 12:30, the neighbor finds Safonova's set of keys and the newspaper in the elevator. By that time, Irina's son and brother had already gone to sleep, having left the light in the hallway on. This is how Andrew recalls that day.
That evening I was sitting on the couch watching TV. My mom came up already dressed and asked,
"Can I go to the movies?"
I said, "Yes, of course." Then I went to bed, and when I woke up in the morning, I decided to check Mom's room. I opened the door. The bed was made. The room was cool and bright. At that moment, the house phone started ringing. It was Alexander. He said,
"Hi, is Mom home?"
I said, "No. Isn't she at your place?" He said,
"No."
We said goodbye to each other and I went to school.
Before calling Irina's home, Alexander called her cell phone, but the number was unavailable. When the boy left for school, the woman's brother Ilya and Skurikin applied to the police together. A few hours later, a task force and cynologist with dog started working in the building. However, the dog could not pick up Irina's trail. The police examined everything: roof, attic, basement, and elevator shaft. Interviewed the house residents, but all in vain. On one of the forums of Akademgorodok, where the major part of users were locals, Alexander appealed for help in searching for Irina Safonova. People quickly responded to the cry for help and took to the streets on the same day. Local residents did everything in their power to find Irina. According to the investigation, at midnight on September 9th, Irina entered the building, took a newspaper out of the mailbox, went into the elevator and then something happened. Something that led to her disappearance with no trace. When the woman's son returned home from school, he was not informed that his mother was missing. The child played with his pet and then went to visit his aunt, who lived nearby. Homework, computer games. That's how the rest of the day went. Before falling asleep, Andrew asked if his mom had returned. The aunt replied that she didn't know, and maybe she was on a business trip. The child realized that this was a lie, but didn't pay much attention to it. The next day, on September 10th, more volunteers joined the search. They examined parks, squares, sewer manholes, attics, but it still did not bring any results. Soon, the whole Novosibirsk discussed the mysterious disappearance of Irina Safonova. What happened to her, and who could be involved? On September 15th, the woman's 10-year-old son went to school again. Andrew recalls.
The same scenario went on for 2 to 3 days. I was not told anything. I went to the school running track for a PE class. There were some poles nearby, and on one of the poles there was something hanging, a poster. I came up to read it. There was a picture of my mom on it. For a second, I thought I was about to faint, and suddenly, I understood everything. Why I was sleeping at my aunt's house, why my classmates were coming to sympathize with me lately, and why my mom was gone for so long.
The first suspect in the case of the disappeared woman was the man who saw her last. Her boyfriend, Alexander Skurikin. In those years, there were no surveillance cameras on the apartment buildings, as well as witnesses who saw the farewell of lovers that evening. Thus, there wasn't any confirmation of Alexander's words. The absence of any signs of struggle in the building also suggested that Irina may not have returned home that evening, and the keys with the newspaper were planted in the elevator to mislead the investigation. On September 19th, after many interrogations, which, by the way, could last for 5 hours, Alexander was sent to a lie detector. His apartment, car, country house, and even a boat were examined several times, but all to no avail. There was no evidence of Skurikin's guilt. Society was divided into 2 camps. Some people defended Alexander, recalling that it was him who initiated the search for Safonova and made the case public. In addition, The family and friends of the woman trusted him and loved him very much. Others believed that Alexander got over the loss of his girlfriend too easily and quickly, because soon after Irina's disappearance, they saw him clubbing in the company of other women. And then there was something that discouraged absolutely all observers of the case of Irina Safonova. A few months after her disappearance, Alexander posted a photo on his social media. In the photo, his friends and he were holding knives and cutting a doll with them. Users of the network were outraged. Sometime later, unable to withstand the pressure of society, Skurikin deleted the photo. There was also another suspect in the case, Irina's husband Vladimir. But the version with the involvement of her husband quickly fell apart. At the time of Irina's disappearance, the man was in Moscow and arrived in Novosibirsk during the investigation. Among all of the versions arose also quite a mystical one. Allegedly, fans of the dark cult kidnapped a woman for a sacrifice on a significant date for them. 09/09/2009, which is an inverted form of 666. On January 13th, 2015, Irina Safonova was officially declared dead. But the criminal case is still open. But where has Irina gone? What was the reason? And what happened on that fateful evening? Could any of her family members or friends have been involved in her disappearance? Or was it a complete stranger? What do you think? Write your opinion in the comments, put your likes under this video, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel.